Live. Hey, everybody. I'm filling in for CJ today. He's down in California. Let's make sure that this is live. Okay. He's in California right now working on doing his other job. And I am going to bring you some news today, but let me just double check that we are. Other job. Yep, we're up. Okay, perfect. There we go. Welcome, you guys. Today we are talking, I'm going to take you to Washington State Capitol in Olympia, where we have Brianna Mattis. She has gathered with the group called the Washington State Tea Room. She's the founder of this organization. And if you guys watched a couple weeks ago, the group went down to the Capitol to deliver, I think it was like 60,000 signed affidavits to the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, calling for accountability in stepping over constitutional rights during the COVID pandemic. They're calling for the end of mandates. They went to the Capitol to deliver all of these affidavits, which they've painstakingly gathered, and they were denied over and over and over again. I think they were there for maybe 3 hours and they were consistently denied. So Brianna and her group have gathered there again today with 60,000 affidavits, getting ready to serve them. They're going to attempt it at the lieutenant governor. They're going to attempt it at the governor and with the attorney general. So I'm going to bring Brianna on here. We're having a little technical difficulties, so we are going to do a little phone interview with her. By the way, I'm sorry, Shama Bartlett here, reporting for CJTV. We're going to see if we can get this. We're going to see if we can get her loaded. Add both of them. We have Jason down at the Capitol with Bird's Eye Media. We don't know what's going on, but the signal down there is being severely interrupted. So I'm going to try doing a phone interview with her and see if we can make that work. This is Brianna, and I'm going to bring her on now. Brianna, go ahead and unmute yourself, and let's see how this works.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I don't know if we're going to have feedback. So let me ask my my group here really quick. You guys, can you tell me in the comments if this is working sound-wise?
I'm going to do a quick interview, guys.
Yeah, so go ahead and, Brianna, introduce yourself and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, so my name's Brianna Mattis, and like she said, I'm with the Washington State Tea Room. We are here for the second round of servings today of notarized affidavits. These are actually the notices of people of Washington State. So that's what we're attempting. And again,
Brianna,
I did my due diligence and
called ahead. Hey, Brianna, 1 second. Okay. We lost audio for a quick second there. You guys, how are we now with the audio? I think I removed myself. So let me just catch up to comments really quick. We're good on sound now. I'm sorry, Brianna, let's start that again. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
From the beginning?
Yes, so introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Okay, so I'm with Washington State Tea Room. My name is Brianna, and we are bringing notarized affidavits, which are sworn witness testimony and sworn witness statements from the people of Washington State, and we're bringing them here to our elected officials. Technically, we have about 61,000 of these documents to be served to our state government, but we're doing it in 2 batches. This is the second batch, and these are notices of default today. And we are redressing our grievances as we have the right to do with our state leaders. That is a constitutional right that the people of America have, is to go directly to the source, directly to our state officials, and let them know what's going wrong and what we need them to do about it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be visiting or attempting to serve the governor's office, Jay Inslee in there, and Denny Heck, the lieutenant governor, as well as the attorney general's office will be stopping by there. I have done a lot of verbal legwork with them to set up this meeting today and make sure that they're going to be in their offices and accept service. So hopefully it will go a little bit better than last time. If you guys were with us last time, you got to see the frustration of that day. So hopefully, wish us luck that this goes a little bit better.
I'll let you guys get to administering the affidavits. I know everyone is waiting there to get those delivered, but can you quickly tell us what happened last time so we know what you guys are up against right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Last time we actually have 6 people in our government that we are working on serving. And so we brought all 6 of their documents, 14 boxes each, to the Capitol and wheeled them all inside. Now, I had called ahead on that day as well and been told, yes, it's okay, come on the 4th. We'll be here, we'll take service. But upon getting here, there was a lot of frantic activity in the Capitol. Everyone was very nervous about what we were bringing. They didn't know. There was a lot of folks peeking out of their offices and running back in. And at that time, the Capitol was still a bit shut down. So, and we got so much pushback. We had the runaround. We sat in here for hours and tried to communicate with them. The governor's office, the person that I was speaking with there, she shut us all the way down and they wouldn't even come out and speak to us. Also the Speaker of the House's office, they would not even come out to speak to us. And all we got were guards talking to us. And that was the only people that we were allowed to talk to. And so it was very disrespectful. We're just people of Washington State and we're here serving documents from many people around Washington State. And they couldn't even give us the decency or the respect of just coming out to speaking to us face to face. So it was a frustrating and very eye-opening experience. So hopefully it's going to go a little bit better today. That's what, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too to note is that you had made phone calls, you'd laid all the groundwork, you were told what the process was, and so you came with your affidavits, loaded them all up on dollies and trucks, and tried to take them into the Capitol as you were instructed, only to be turned away by person after person after person, and not even get anyone from the government offices to even talk to you other than like security and administrative staff. So we'll see what happens with you guys today. We're going to take it over to, we have Bard's Eye Media or Bard's Eye News. You can follow along with him on Rumble. We have Jason over there. Jason, I think it's Borian. How do you say his name, Brianna?
I think that was right.
Okay, good. He is there
Jason
recording.
Borian?
Yes.
Borian?
Borian?
Yes.
He is there recording for us live, or he's also broadcasting on Rumble, which you can grab that over there also. Tell us what you guys are actively doing right now.
Well, right now we're just listening. Well, I'm sitting here listening to you in my earbud. We're having technical difficulties, so Bard's Eye News folks watching, I'm sorry, I'm standing here silent. TJTV has the audio to this right now, but we're standing outside. We've got our boxes on our hand trucks and our dollies, and my team's we're gonna wheel them on into the Capitol building. We're gonna go see the Lieutenant Governor's office first.
Can you ask Jason to turn the camera to show us you guys loading on the affidavits and showing us the amount of them?
Yeah, Jason, are you getting all the boxes and everything? Right now we have Inslee's and Denny Heck. So each of them have 13 boxes.
Okay.
So it's 3 hand trucks. Oh, we just have Inslee's? Yeah, we don't have gotta do 3 different. Okay, so we're going to Inslee first? All right. My team is telling me we only have enough dollies to do one at a time. So we got Inslee's out here first. So this is all Inslee stuff.
Okay.
That's a lot. Now, so 3 dollies full. So we're going to head on into the governor's office and start there.
Perfect. Right now, his screen, Bard's Eye, the video is still showing the people talking in front of the building with the hat. I think it keeps freezing right there. But if you could just narrate for us as you're walking along. Byron, thank you so much for those super stickers. That is amazing. Thank you so much. That'll help get CJ back here doing what he does best, which is, in the field reporting. So Yeah, Empower You Online on YouTube is asking, why are we serving the government? Can you walk us through that as you guys are loading up and kind of give us a verbal play-by-play of what's happening?
Yeah, we're bringing in. Is Alan doing it by himself out there? Is he all alone? No one else is doing it.
Say, hey.
So we've got to get them into the building right now and then get them on the elevator. And that is what we're doing. They're on the second floor. So we're coming on in here. We also are going Facebook Live.
Okay.
So that is working inside here right now.
Okay, great. Where are you guys?
The live streams that are not.
Yeah, tell me your Facebook Live. Where can we find that? And I can pull that up.
Yeah, so it's Raw State Tea Room.
Let's pull that up right now. Yeah, the thing that I'm going to pull up at least videos from last time to show the amount of paperwork these people are working with here. So like loading it up on dollies and hauling it in from one room to another room, from one building to the next room is not like an easy task. Okay, so it's WA Tea Room.
WA State.
Oh, WA State, okay.
I'm in the elevator right now, so hopefully I don't get out.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Let me pull that guy up here.
We've all squished ourselves into this elevator.
So that I want to see. Oh, it looks like you guys lost your Facebook Live feed, but I can pull it up and show what happened. Oh, we may have lost.
She didn't make the elevator. We're packed in here like sardines.
Oh, that I want to see. So, yeah, that's going to be good fun. All right.
Jason's still recording.
He's still recording it? Good deal. I'm going to remove him and pull up the Facebook stream feed if I can. But it looks like your Facebook Live went down. So we are going to...
I think she probably shut it off because she got left behind.
Oh, she's like, it's not fun to...
We tried to fit everyone in, but we couldn't.
So these affidavits are, explain what kind of someone is asking, Shine the Light on YouTube is asking what kind of affidavits are being served and to whom. We already answered they're being served to the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general of Washington State. While you guys are traveling, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the video of you talking to me on the Facebook Live. And the affidavits are basically calling for accountability. They're calling for the end of the mandates and an accountability for the protection of constitutional rights, and that that the Tea Party is claiming were violated during the state of emergency that was declared during COVID. And they're also asking for an election evaluation. Is that correct, Brianna?
That is correct. Thank you. Yeah, so we are outside the governor's office right now, and they have some lovely state patrols here, very nice people, and we are waiting for them to come out.
Okay, let's take a look.
And we've got all of our boxes here for them. So, and Jason is filming it.
Perfect.
And I believe, are we Facebook Living again? Heather's up on Facebook Live again.
Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can get your Facebook Live up in there. I want to stop screen.
It's so cold, they're not working. Freezing.
Now you guys this takes a lot of dedication. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have you mute yourself, and I'll let you know if something happens, let me know and come back on. In the meantime, I'm going to play your the Facebook live stream so people can see what's going on out there. All right. Yeah, so Trish, the affidavits have been signed by Washington State residents. They are calling for, let me turn this down. Let me mute this for a second. There we go. So the affidavits have been signed by Washington State residents, and they're listing out the grievances or the constitutional rights that were violated during the state of emergency that was enacted during COVID. They're asking for accountability and basically to let the government officials know that their actions did not go unnoticed by their constituents. So there's two different affidavits that are being served today. That's one. And then the other is calling for an election evaluation. So they want, it's putting the officials on notice of default of duties is the official term that they're using in the affidavits. They've gathered these affidavits for months, kind of in an underground grassroots effort. So you can see the affidavits there on the screen, and this is just half of them. They have about 60,000 pieces of paper that are being delivered to Washington State Capitol, to the government there. This is their second attempt to do this. What you're seeing on the screen right now is Brianna Mattes. I keep thinking I'm saying her name wrong, but Mattes, she is the founder of the Washington State Tea Room. It's an organization that, Brianna, can you come back on again and just give us a quick definition of what your organization is about and why it was founded? If you're busy right now, that's fine too. She's in an elevator at the Capitol.
We are actually just unloading the boxes from the dollies, and the state patrol here. They are going to help them get them into the office. But that went very cleanly compared to last time. They signed our serving documents, and they're going to take the boxes. So that's the play-by-play right now. Jason is recording, so you guys will get to see it. But yeah, so the whole point of the Washington State Tea Room, it was a play on words of the colloquialism, spilling the tea.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I want to spill the tea on our government, and when I came upon other teams and other states doing this last year around this time, we need to go back to this. I was enthralled and completely interested in how people were doing it. So I just wanted to look into what our rights were, read the Constitution for the first time in my entire life, and realize that there were rights that I had no idea. I had no idea that we had the right to redress our grievances with our state officials. I didn't know we had the right. Well, I didn't know so many rights were being violated over the past 2 years with mandates and with our elections and that sort of stuff. So,
what rights particularly are you?
For me.
What rights have you? What rights are you saying particularly, or that have been called out that were violated?
So when it comes to mandates and all things COVID, for instance, us being quarantined in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
That could be called unlawful imprisonment. The fact that our businesses were shut down for a very long time to the point where people lost their businesses, those were rights violations. Even the force of having to wear a mask, that is a violation of our freedoms and privileges. The discrimination that has happened here in Washington State against those of us who want to still have our freedom of choice, my body, my choice, the discrimination against us folks has been pretty substantial.
What kind of
people have lost their jobs because they don't want to put a certain medication into their bodies. And I mean, if you can't work and feed your family because the government said so, that's a problem. That's not the government's place. It never has been the government's place. And these documents are here to remind them of that, but they're also a way for the Washington State people to relearn that information, because most of the folks that have, come to our events around the state and seen these documents and want to stand in line for hours sometimes to get them notarized and sign them, that was their first time reading through some of those constitutional laws, if any. And so it was a time for them to learn also what their rights are here, where they are in the power hierarchy of our state and of our country. And so it was this whole process is about, a reawakening of our knowledge of our Constitution and our rights here in this country, a reawakening of our empowerment of the people, and a reminding of our government say, hey, remember these documents? Remember those oaths that you took to uphold the Constitution? Yeah, well, you're not doing that, and here's why. and here's how, and we'd like to talk with you about it. So that's what this phase is all about. It's about bringing empowerment and knowledge back to the people that haven't had it for a long time, and it's also meant to give an olive branch and try and open up lines of communication with our government, because I feel, and I know a lot of people in Washington State feel that we do not have a voice, that the people of Washington State no longer have a voice here in Washington State, and it's just the government doing whatever they feel they want to do.
I think I think that that's something we're hearing a lot of, is that people are they don't feel like the government is listening to them. They don't feel like their voices are being heard. And there's a lot of frustration out there. How did you get from that point to saying, hey, there is a problem here, to here are reasonable steps, here's something I can do to make a difference? Like, how did you get to that? Really quick, Byron, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your contribution on YouTube. Thank you so much, really.
I think that the beauty of this whole thing, because this is a nationwide thing, there are little teams in multiple states around the country that have been doing this. And so it's really been a pay it forward situation. So I came upon an interview with an Arizona team March of last year. That led me to the Utah team that is now my mentor team. Thank you, James, for that. And it led me to be connected in some way with teams all over the state. And we all kind of came together and shared our documents and shared our notes, and, helped each other in whatever way we were using this process in our own communities, in our own states. Mm-hmm. So it's really a pay it forward kind of situation. And that's why we're at a point now that, we're putting this process in play, and we've learned, everything up to this point. And so we're ready to be open and say, if there's other people in other states that want to get involved, we're here to pay it forward as well, because other teams around the country helped us. So that's what this is all about. I think this whole movement of reawakening in America is about going, freedom lover to freedom lover, and learning things that we have forgotten over the generations, and getting back to some basics in this country. So
I like that. I haven't heard that term before, reawakening.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like, mm-hmm. Because I may have a ton of college, being a marine biologist, I went to school quite a bit, but I hadn't read the United States Constitution until last year. So it was kind of an aha moment for me, but also a little embarrassing. It's just like, wow, all of this stuff that I had no idea about, sitting right here, and then the Washington State Constitution as well, a good document. It's kind of embarrassing, I think, for us as a people to realize that we've just been letting this slide for a really long time. Well, the guys are coming off the elevator with Denny Heck's documents right now. Just giving you guys a play-by-play of what's happening.
Tell us who Denny Heck is again.
And Denny Heck is our lieutenant governor. He is the president of the Senate.
And has he been helpful to you in your fight here?
That office is amazing, to be quite honest. And real quick, I need to ask my team to do something, because their doors aren't open, so we usually just have to call them. Okay. But I'm on with you, so I'm going to have someone else make that phone call.
If you need to, go ahead and mute us for a second on your side.
I'm going to mute myself for a second. Thank you.
I was going to say, so what you're witnessing here is Brianna and groups like hers. She's founded the Washington State Tea Room. Their aim is to go through the courts, to go through like judicial process to affect changes in the government at a local level. So her group right now is based in Washington State, where she's a resident, and they've gathered affidavits from across the states. They're highlighting the constitutional rights that they feel have been violated during the state of emergency enacted by COVID. And they're also calling for the end of the national state of emergency, and the government and the local government to end the state of emergency. So when COVID first came around, a national state of emergency was enacted by Trump, and it was mirrored by almost all the governors around the United States. I think all of them. And many of the governors have rescinded the state of emergency. When that is in place, the governor is given rights and authorities beyond what they normally have. And the checks and balances kind of goes by the wayside. Same thing happens at the federal level. So when the president enacts a national state of emergency, it gives him more executive powers than, I think it's 152 additional executive powers that he has access to. And the checks and balance kind of, they're given that authority so they can act quickly without, having to go through channels. And Brianna's group and groups like hers are saying that it's the state of emergency is over, that there's no longer a need for the government to overexert those extra powers that they're given during a state of emergency. And so they're advocates now for what she is saying is an awakening for people to understand their constitutional rights and to demand accountability from their government if they're not honoring those constitutional rights. Getting involved in, we see all over the United States and the world really how people are trying to reclaim their rights when the government oversteps. CJ's been extensively following the People's Convoy, the Freedom Convoy. We've see demonstrations, sit-ins, and this particular branch, the Tea Room, Washington State Tea Room, has decided, and many groups like them, to attack it from the angle of going through the court systems. The great thing, I've been talking with Brianna today and yesterday, and the thing that I find so impressive is that she had no idea how to do any of this. Like, she wasn't, she's not a law student. You heard her say that she has a degree in biology. She isn't in public office. She's just a person who said, hey, our rights are being violated. I don't agree with this. There's something I've got to do about it. She looked to the example of other people in other states that have gone through the legal channels, and through support and help, kind of, I was telling her today, it's like learn something, then teach something. And so other people taught her how to do this. And as a result, she was able to found this organization, which is now holding 60,000 pieces of paper, letting the government know that they're there and that they're aware that their rights are not being honored. So I think the message from that is that you can be someone sitting at home in your living room going, hey, I'm frustrated too. I don't feel like my voice is being heard. Something's got to be done. And there are things you can do. I put the contact information here for the Washington State Tea Room. If you are welcome to contact them, and maybe they can give you information about what's going on in your state. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything. Like, you look to the examples of people around you. If nothing else, go to your local. Well, actually, I would say the first thing, like Brianna said, she had never read the Constitution and really didn't understand or know exactly what her rights were. And I think that if we're all going to raise our hands, I could probably guess that a lot of people are in that same boat. Like, we were taught about it. I don't know, when I was in high school, we learned about it. But since then, I can honestly say I've not read the Constitution beginning to end. And it's not like a huge long document, so I don't have any excuses for that. But start with that. Like, I would, that's where she started. I think that's a great example, to start with knowing what your rights are, and then deciding if you agree with how they're being handled right now, or if there's changes that need to be made. And if you say, hey, those changes need to be made, then let's see how to do it. Because there are people out there making changes in so many different ways. But what we're watching now is a group that's trying to go through the court system. And to be honest, they have been met with a ton of resistance. Brianna even talked about being targeted, and like, not just a passive resistance where they're like, we won't accept your affidavits, but a more aggressive resistance that they've gotten from the government, from media, from people in the area. And we can ask her more about that. So you guys, like and share. We have been in a shadow ban now for probably about 3 weeks. Honestly, when CJ started covering the convoy, the People's Convoy, so extensively, we were thrown into a shadow ban that it's really tough, because we're not given a reason why. We're not given any recourse for it. We're just banned. Like, people aren't getting notifications when we go live. Our algorithm is thrown way down. So every time you guys share, like, anything like that, it helps us get back up. And sorry, I was just reading some comments here. When a national state of emergency is put into effect, some of the presidential powers that go into effect are the control of media. Like they can control commerce, they can control the flow of information, they can control businesses. It's how we were able to have mandates put in schools. Those powers are still in effect. The national state of emergency for COVID was supposed to expire back in, I think, March 3rd or March 13th. But Biden re-upped it and said he wanted to continue the state of emergency. And I think that goes for, it's going to be another year that we're in a state of emergency. And in that state, the executive branch has unparalleled power. And I think that's where Americans, like people that are in the convoy and so many other groups around the nation, are saying, hey, you know what? You can't justify, the government cannot continue to justify exerting that much unchecked power in our lives. And that's where organizations like the Washington State Tea Room come in, where they stay together and say, hey, you can't justify this any longer. Because at this point, according to what they're saying, at this point, it's no longer put into it's no longer enacted as a means of protection. It's enacted as a means of control. And their fight now is to take back the control that the Constitution guarantees us. I'm going to go ahead and read a couple of comments, unless Brianna. So what's happening right now is that Brianna.
Hey, so I'm actually walking back to my car. That went really, really well, as it did the first time at the Lieutenant Governor's office. It's really nice people there. So we are heading over to the Department of Licensing office, or the Attorney General's office, whichever you'd like to call it. It's the same building.
And what will you be doing at the department, at the Attorney General's office?
So we're going to be serving Bob Ferguson, our Attorney General, at that office. And if folks were watching last time, that was kind of hilarious because CJ was here and made some jokes about the bulletproof glass.
Yeah, I thought it was funny the last time you were there, how there was like bulletproof glass, and they were like, you need to put your masks on. And CJ was like, I thought the bulletproof glass was enough, but okay, like, I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Yeah, look, all right. And again, I've been in, well, actually email conversations. So I've got the receipts. So a lot of emails have gone back and forth between me and the Attorney General's office to really hammer this down and figure out exactly what's going to work.
Okay. And the U.S. Senate has voted on a resolution ending the federal COVID state of emergency that passed.
I have some video clips pulled up, but sorry, I interrupted you there. What were you saying?
Oh, no, it's okay. I wasn't sure it was me. No, I was just saying that let me get my car here, that I've had many an email with the AG's department. We've gone back and forth quite a bit to figure out, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, make sure people are going to be here today that are willing to take service, the exact documents we're bringing and all of that. So it's literally been 2 weeks of back and forth emails with the Attorney General's office to get this down, because, you know, if you watched the last time, we were told by the governor's office that we had to take the governor's documents to the AG's office along with Bob Ferguson. So that's what we did. And then the Attorney General's office refused to take service of any documents last time.
What justification did they use for refusing to take service?
You know what? There really wasn't any reason. And that was another thing. It's like no one would give us an actual reason. Well, the House Speaker said it was for security. Okay. And, you know, okay, great. But yeah, no one could give us a reason. It was just, we're just not going to do it. Okay. And that seems to be a very common thread with our state government. No reason, just nope, we're just not going to do it. And I feel like the people of Washington State deserve a little bit more than that. But regardless, since then, via email, I have gotten an acknowledgement or a receipt that we delivered and served those boxes to them. And we have the video and everything.
Really, and that's what you wanted. You were basically saying, hey, if we leave 60,000 affidavits here, we need someone saying that we got them, because later on they could say, no, we didn't get them. You know, like you just people were willing to take the boxes from you but no one was willing to sign or register them for you, which was, like after working months and months, I can see why it wouldn't have been, you just didn't want to just leave them sitting there.
Yeah, so right now, and they were in the foyer too. It's not like we took them into an office. They're just outside the bulletproof glass, so
they could just be sitting there and thrown into recycling at any moment.
Toss it in the trash.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm glad that they emailed us later, and they've been communicative by email, since that day, and have changed their tune. And I really do feel, and I thank you guys, all the media outlets that have streamed that day and been paying attention to this. I appreciate you guys at CJTV and all the viewers, because it really is. We do believe that it is the publicity of this that has gotten movement.
So you feel that if there hadn't been any media coverage of it the last time you went, you wouldn't have gotten very far this time?
Yeah, exactly. Like this has brought and made it aware. And I honestly think we've been talking about it because we were able to live stream, obviously, the last time at the Capitol, but we had the State Patrol was there in force today, which was different.
Were there. I was going to ask you, I heard you say that they were there to help you unload things. Did you guys plan
they were all there outside the governor's office.
Wow, really?
Yep.
I'll be interested to see that footage.
That's new.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see that footage from, and that was because of you guys, like they were there waiting to interact with you guys?
Well, they were there outside the governor's office. Yeah, I thought they were just there for the day at the Capitol, but no, they were there.
They were just
strictly outside the governor's office to take the boxes.
Interesting.
So, very interesting. But also, live streaming has not gone very well around the Capitol building today.
Yeah, I was going to say last time, you guys didn't even have, we've been trying to get the feed up and running out in the parking lot, and there's been zero service, which, we've seen that at the Capitol, the United States Capitol. We've seen it at government buildings. They have the ability to jam signals very easily.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up. So how long is the drive between where you're at and where you're going? I have a little video clip I was gonna show.
We just parked, and Jason Arts iNews, he's getting out of the car.
Okay, is he gonna
and getting his camera set up? Hopefully the feed is a little bit better here.
Let me pull him up.
So we'll see. We're a few blocks away from the Capitol building.
Okay.
Where we're at, so maybe the feed will be better.
I was going to say, if you want to follow Bard's Eye News, he is a photographer, live streamer. He does great work. You can follow him over on Rumble, which is where we're going to pull his stream up from. He's been wonderful helping out in the field. When CJ needs someone to hold a camera, he does a great job. He gets all the great shots. He's got wonderful equipment. So, he's definitely one to follow. If you're over on Rumble, you can pull him up. It's Bard's. I'll pull it up for you.
Okay, so it looks like Jason is up, but he's going to just record from here.
So he's not going to stream?
He can't stream today, Jason. Let me mute you guys for a second.
Okay. In the meantime, I would be curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I know many states have repealed the state of emergency. Like the governor can choose to do that. I thought it was interesting, though, that recently the Senate voted to end the state of emergency, but Biden overturned it. What happens in that case is then the House has to vote, and they need a 2/3 majority. But when a state of emergency is put into effect, the president can override that. So let me say that again so it makes sense. During this state of emergency, if a president declares a national state of emergency, he has access to executive powers that he doesn't typically have. It throws the checks and balance out so that he can act quickly, to respond to an emergency. The national state of emergency for COVID was supposed to end in March, but Biden elected to extend it for another year. So right now it's in effect, I think, until March 13th, 2023. In order to pull back any of the executive powers that are being utilized during a state of emergency, the Senate or the House has to put a bill in for it. And if it's approved, then the president can either accept that or not. Biden did not accept Senate's vote to end the state of emergency. So the next step then is to have the House come together with the Senate, and they have to get the 2/3 majority vote. Even if they get the 2/3 majority vote, the president can still veto it while we're in a national state of emergency. So I didn't really understand all of that until recently. I do understand so much better why citizens who are aware in the United States are concerned that the national state of emergency has been pushed as far as it has. And then you take that down to a lesser level to the next level, which is the state governors who have declared a national state of emergency and have chosen not to repeal that. I'm going to pull up a news report here that just talks about the end of the state of emergencies here. And I would love to get your thoughts on it. What do you think what are the contributing factors that are keeping the state of emergency on a national and a state-by-state level?
Ending a federal COVID state of emergency that passed on a vote of 48 to 47. The national state of emergency was first signed in March of 2020. It was set to expire on Tuesday, but in February, President Biden extended the emergency indefinitely. Senator Mike Braun of Indiana spoke on the Senate floor about that today, and he voted in favor of the resolution ending the emergency. He says COVID is here to stay, and Americans need to adapt to live with it and get on with their lives.
This state of emergency makes robust powers available to the president during a crisis. It includes forgiving student loans, imposing travel restrictions, capital investments in neighborhoods deemed to be disproportionately affected by COVID. It's past time for the president and governors across the country to give up the extra powers granted to them under the COVID emergency declarations.
President Biden issued a statement about the resolution ending the national emergency. He says his administration needs to be able to respond effectively if future variants pose a threat. He says if Congress passes the resolution, he'll veto it.
Yeah, so I pause this. So what do you guys think of that? That that the Senate voted to end the state of emergency, but the presidential office was able to veto that. So now the House has to vote on it, and they have to get that 2/3 majority. And if you heard what he said at the end of the report, that Biden has said that even if that 2/3 majority goes into effect, that he would veto it. So Jeff Taylor, I asked the question, what do you think is motivating the government to keep these state of emergencies in effect? And Jeff Taylor on Facebook says power is what keeps this going. And I would agree with that. I was doing a little research here. I'm going to pull up another clip for you guys, because there's another thing that happens when a state is like in Washington State, where they've decided not to end the state of emergency. Governors are given access to federal funds that they wouldn't have if the state of emergency had ended. And so people are wondering, is there a financial motivation beyond power, but is there a financial motivation that's keeping Governor Inslee and other governors of states that have not repealed the state of emergency, keeping it into effect? So I'm going to pull this up really quick for you. Yeah, KM on YouTube says, sadly, I see a 4-year-long state of emergency. It's all about control now. Hey, guys, how many of you have kids that are still wearing masks at school? Because that's something that's controlled at, it can be a local or a federal level. So the federal mandates have changed so that it can be monitored at a local level. But I'm just wondering how many school districts are still requiring masks for their kids. I'm going to pull something up really quick for you. Actually, I was researching different groups that are fighting against the national state of emergency, or pushing to have it revoked. And I found this was pretty, hold on, I know the volume is loud. There's a group in, yes, ma'am.
That was actually a really pain-free situation. We gave them our serving documents, and they
Judge,
Yep.
After me, only 5 to go. But sit back for a second, because
sorry, hold on one
right
second.
away. I actually have a number of things.
But yeah, it's kind of funny because it was the same gal
Oh, really?
But
So I don't know if you guys.
After all of this conversation, everything's okay, and we can do this pain-free today.
So this was the same person who last time was kind of giving you some attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time she went, there was a person who we don't need to name names or whatever, but she was definitely had some feelings about them being there. So that was interesting. Actually, I thought you were really funny because Brianna at one point said, so are you giving me attitude here? What's happening? And she was like, oh, no. I'm just I'm just trying to find a solution for you. Was it that lady?
Yeah, it was that lady.
Okay.
So that was, I mean, I'm glad that she.
Yeah, that's great that she was.
But everything cleared up, and again, I feel like it really is because of you guys and your viewers and people on the other live streams that have helped facilitate the pressure needed to get our government a little bit more comfortable with getting these documents and just realize they don't have the right to say no and give us the runaround and send us over here and no, go over there. And, you know, it was a nightmare last time. Unfortunately, you know, it's funny to watch these offices now be so comfortable and everything goes so well, but we still have the holdups. The Speaker of the House, Lori Jenkins. Mm-hmm. I mean, the disrespect from that office, and I'll say Tony Ivey, like, you're a pill. You really, really are a pill. And the fact that you have, you repeatedly let me know that the Speaker of the House of Washington State, of the House of Representatives of Washington State, that she actually does not care, doesn't feel responsible for, isn't interested in hearing from or dealing with the people of Washington State, that she only is interested in or concerned about the people of her district. Shame on you. You should not be the Speaker of the House then. If that's really how you feel, Lori Jenkins, you should not be the Speaker of the House. Just stay in your district and stay in your house in Tacoma and deal with that. But regardless, you are the Speaker of the House, and it is time for you to shape up. If the governor can take these boxes and take service of these boxes, you aren't higher than him, honey. You really aren't. So that's all I have to say about that. And then our senators are a whole other ball of wax, because they spend the majority of their time in Washington, D.C., and we have to figure out how to get a hold of them. And they're being kind of a pill as well, but that's federal. So that's a different realm, right?
Brianna, let me ask you this. I was talking to the audience about how many people are feeling frustrated and feeling like their voices aren't being heard. Realistic, like I was telling them, you are not a politician. You aren't someone who's been active. You're not active in local government or hadn't been. Did you say you have a degree in marine biology?
Yeah, so my first love was marine biology, and I have no legal background, absolutely none. No politics. I'm not even interested in politics, even though CJ told me, well, you're in it now.
You are in it now. So I mean, if someone is sitting at home feeling like you felt, what would be realistic? Like they're sitting on their couch right now going, yeah, that is really wrong. I don't think that we should have a local state of emergency or a national state of emergency. What do they do to be active, to be proactive? What would you say would be first steps?
Yeah, I think, and for Bard's Eye News guys, I was just asked what first steps would be if you're sitting at home watching this and trying to figure out like what you can do because you feel the same ways that we are. So the answer to that would be, I would first read the Constitution. Get through it a couple of times if you can. Find your favorite parts, highlights and stuff. Get your state constitution, read that as well, and get empowered by that and learn what your rights actually are. And then you are more than welcome if you want to take the affidavits and use them in your own community, because people are using them in other ways other than just their government. For instance, Utah, that team uses them towards school boards and towards private businesses that have fired employees for not getting the vaccine, and different aspects of needing to redress your grievances and having the right to do so. So find an affidavit that you like, or you can take ours and modify it. We're going to be making them completely public.
Yeah, so what she means by that really quick is there are to work within the legal system, you have to do it within a format. And what she's saying is that the Washington State Tea Room is willing to share the legal documentation that they have, and you can fill in the information that fits your needs. But they've done the research, they've worked with other people, so they have it all laid out in legalese, everything ready, an affidavit ready to be served to whoever you want to serve it to, and they're willing to share those basically PDF files with you so that you can start a movement wherever you are. Am I saying that right?
Yes, we'll have those once our website is up, and give us grace for the grassiest of grassroots movement. That's what I always say. So we are working on the website, and we will have all of our documents on there because, as I mentioned before, we got help from other teams in other states, and they pass their knowledge on along to us. So there's no way I'm not going to do that for people in other states. And if there's people in Washington State that say, you know, we want to use the affidavit process on our school board or on this business that has fired me because, you know, I didn't want to do something medically. This affidavit is for you guys as well, and we can help you modify it to fit your needs. So that's something that we're willing to do, and just start digging for information. There's teams out there. Our website is going to be full of training and teaching modules and things like that you'll be able to get in there and actually learn. Because I know this is a bit of a legal process. This isn't as complicated as going actually into court, which is our next phase.
So there is a next
sneak peek there, but this phase is very straightforward. These are, you know, notarized legal documents, though. So I know you want to get more comfortable. It helps if you're a little bit more comfortable with these things before you have the courage to go hand them off to your boss or your ex-boss or whatever. But we're here to help. So stay tuned. And this is a redress of grievances from the past 2 years. A lot of people are saying like, oh, well, he dropped the mandate, he dropped the mess and everything. And I'm like, well, he did this last time. He dropped everything last time around this time of the year last year.
So that's also the concern.
He's definitely, and articles have come out recently making it very clear that they're going to slap these things back on us probably come September or something. So, you know, they're letting us know, keeping that fear alive and saying, oh, you know, these variants and, oh, look at this. And maybe it's not such a good idea to drop the mask so soon. Like I've seen those articles popping up since our governor dropped the mask mandate. So nothing is finished, and we need to redress the grievances and the things that have happened over the past 2 years, but we also need to stop them dead in their tracks and just let them know, you're not going to violate our rights any longer. You're not going to do this again. You can't do this again. You are trampling on our constitutional rights, which is a crime. And so that's what we're doing. And I urge people, don't get comfortable right now. Don't sleep on this. They're not. They're keeping that fear and poking us a little bit here and there if you're paying attention. And they're keeping us primed to take back over, you know, again in the fall or whenever they see fit. So get yourself geared up for that fight. Get yourself ready to not comply if you're here in Washington State, speaking up to you guys, and get yourself prepared with your employers as well and with your schools. Let's work on some affidavits for your school boards and have your kids deliver them to them. We've got a great video from, I think the folks in Virginia had their children deliver their affidavits to the school board one day and videotaped it. It was beautiful.
That is. So what you're saying is that we're gonna. I think you said this before, and I thought it was really profound. You said it's like the relationship we're in with our government right now is like an abusive relationship where your spouse hits you and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Let's go. Let me take you out to dinner. But you know the hitting is coming again. And what I hear you saying is that people may be getting into a state of a false sense of security, like, well, you know, the mandates have been lifted in my state. You know, things are calming down. But what you're saying is that come September, we're going to see these powers being put, you know, like we're going to see those kind of the state of emergency powers being pushed again the way they were.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, Inslee has made very clear that he's kept his state of emergency powers. Mm-hmm. So that should tell every single one of us here in Washington State that he's making sure he has the finger on that trigger.
Let's
And
see.
he's letting us know. I don't even think he's trying to hide this from us. So if you're not paying attention to what he's telling you, come on now. You got to wake up, because he's letting us know, like, don't worry, I still have the reins. I'm still holding the wheel of this ship, and I will pull this car over if I need to. And yeah, it is an abusive relationship. He's just told us for the summertime, put some makeup on our black eye and shut our mouth, look pretty, put on a dress. He's taking us out for a steak dinner this summer, but he's going to get drunk and beat us later on this fall. So let's just all be realistic here, and just get ready for the fight, because it's not over. Okay. And we do need to take our power back and make sure our government understands their place. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing, and the misconception that our government has been, teaching us for generations, is that they are higher than us. They don't, practice what they preach. They don't do what they tell us to do, and they overreach so much and so far beyond their actual legal control in our states, and it's just got to stop. But it starts with the people. It starts with us doing something. They're never going to relinquish their power. Yeah. It starts with us standing up and saying, like, hey, now I read my rights, and this isn't how this is supposed to go. So yeah, and getting involved, talking to people, being open about it, being courageous, and well,
like you said, even sharing, like even liking and sharing streams like this, you said it had a major impact on. So what I have on the screen right now is your attempt last time to deliver the affidavits to the Washington State Capitol. And at that time, they were systematically turned away. Every single door was shut in their faces, although they had done everything they were supposed to do to meet with someone at the Capitol building. They were completely turned away. And what Brianna said earlier is that she feels that because people watched these streams and there was live stream media coverage of the event, at this time there was National Guard there waiting for them. Was it National Guard you said, Brianna?
It was Washington State Patrol, actually. Yeah. But I've got a question with Bard's Eye News. So What was the question, Jason?
Just that unlike a rally or a march, this leaves a physical trail of evidence that can't be gaslit as to how many people participated.
Right. So
Can
the
you repeat
comment
that for me? I can't.
So the comment is for CJTV viewers is there are a lot of different things going on. We've seen rallies and the sign waving and even petitions and initiatives, things like that. So there's a lot of groups doing a bunch of different things. But the one thing about our move here is that this leaves a distinct paper trail and evidence of what we're doing. So it can't be, what were you saying, gaslit, yeah, or, glazed over. It's just like, no, we're here. And, live streaming with you guys, documenting it, solidifies that even more. It's like the documents are here. These are just copies. We have all the originals in a secure storage facility. And, going forward, we're going to have more legal documents for people to join up with. So that's another little pro tip or a little sneak peek. Our next phase, for all the folks who are saying, oh, I didn't get a chance to sign an affidavit and my voice wasn't delivered to the governor. Don't worry. The next phase, we'll be doing signing events all over Washington State all over again. And the next phase will give you an opportunity to join in at that time. And we welcome all y'all new folks. Come on in. So yeah, that's a good comment from Bard's Eye News. Thank you.
That is good. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys heard the very beginning part of that, but the Bard's Eye News audience is saying, or I think Jason was saying that what Brianna is doing is distinctive because there's a legal paper trail. So, all of it, even people that are standing on freeway overpasses supporting the convoy or whatever it is that you're doing is wonderful. But this particular thing she's doing is rather monumental. It's groundbreaking because they're working within the legal system and making a paper trail, a mark, so that the voices in Washington State are heard. And there's no way they can say they weren't heard.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. It really is about getting our voices heard. Mm-hmm. And these documents that we're delivering today, the ones on the 4th, all of those are going to be used in future court proceedings as evidence. So that's exactly what this is. Thanks, Jason. This is a definite, definitive paper trail. But we support all the things, and that's why I tell people, do all the things. Go wave at a overpass and, wave signs on your corner, go to a rally, sign a petition, sign an initiative, whatever you can do them all, do all the things. The Tea Room supports all of it. I feel like we're getting really busy as a freedom movement. We're all hitting them from different sides, like the Bonds for the Win people. We were on their podcast just yesterday, and they're hitting it from another angle, and they're coming at, and so it's a good time to just confuse the heck out of our government and hit them with so many different things that it takes up their time and stresses them out and puts pressure on them. From letting, from us, from saying no more, and we're coming for you if you don't change your ways, which is our right. A lot of people are just like, why are you even doing this? This is horrible of you. This is actually my right. We still live in America. This is a free country, and if you read the Constitution, it is your right to redress your grievances. It is your right to, if you're not happy with your government, to let them know and even remove them if need be. So we're just following the Constitution. So if you're an American and you don't believe in the Constitution, you might want to move. Just saying.
You're like, well, that's so many of our government officials, apparently.
Right? So true.
Who don't believe in there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, has your state lifted the state of emergency? Has your governor lifted the state of emergency in Washington
nope.
State? Okay.
Nope. They still feel like we're in a state of emergency. So I don't know. I don't really see an emergency anywhere. I don't see any body bags on the sidewalks. I see a lot of garbage in Seattle, but no body bags. And I don't know how it can be a state of emergency, but also lift the mask mandates. It's just like, if the masks work as they say they work, and we're in a state of emergency, how can one be without the other? It's really just a power play thing, and I think it just has to be clear to the majority of us here in Washington State that it's just a power play thing, that it has nothing to do with health. It never did, and it's just making sure that they are keeping their finger on the trigger for whatever they'd like to do with us.
Do you feel like there's a financial motivation as well? I was telling the audience that when a governor enacts a state of emergency, they have access to federal funds that they wouldn't typically have. And what is your thought on that?
Breaking up a little bit, but I think you were talking about what powers they have during a state of emergency. Is that right?
Yes.
And that, you kind of hit the nail on something. I don't want to get into it too much and bore everyone to death, but the next phase are criminal complaints for us, and those will be filed in Superior as well as federal court. And we're going to be talking about the emergency powers, because the research that I have done and will be talked about and shown on our documents, I'm not going to get into it specifically, but just a little sneak peek. The research that I have done shows that the emergency powers, at least here in Washington State, have been grossly misused. And, where everyone just kind of hangs on like, oh, well, this is just because he has emergency powers. We feel at the Tea Room that he has misused those emergency powers, and the things that our governor has called for or done or put in play over the last 2 years has been a gross overreach of his emergency powers, and that was not what those powers were actually intended for. So that's a whole other ball of wax. But yeah, as far as what emergency powers, what the government is trying to have us believe, it's saying, well, when the governor has emergency powers, he can shut down whatever he needs to shut down, close whatever he needs to close, enact a mandate for this or that, force government employees plus to get a medical procedure. Those all fall under the government's definition, or our government, Washington State's definition of emergency powers, but that's not actually the legal definition of emergency power. So we're going to be talking about that in our next phase.
Okay. So you do have a next, there are next phases coming then?
Yeah. Phases. This is the long game. I always tell folks, it might look like the Washington State Tea Room is asleep or we're not doing anything, but it's because it's time to get back into our offices and do our paperwork and do our research. And that takes time. This is legal research. It's not my background. And it takes, well, we have quite a big team researching the RCWs for Washington State, federal codes, and whatnot, for our court documents that are coming up next. So yes, there are a couple more phases. And if you don't see us out and about, just know we are frantically working behind the scenes to make sure these court documents are going to be watertight, just as our affidavits were, and ready for the public once we're ready to have folks join on to that case with us. And yeah, it's exciting, but it's a lot of work. So I always, what's that whole thing with when you see a duck sitting on the water and it's all calm on the top of the water, but his little legs are going really, really hard under the water? That's the Washington State Tea Room for sure.
Yeah. Well, I put on the screen again here, Brianna. There it is. I put on the screen again your contact information. And like Brianna said, if you are in a state that, or if you're in a position where you feel like your constitutional rights are being violated, or you want to petition the government through legal terms or through legal channels, you can go to their website's under construction, but you can contact them and they will share their affidavits, the outline and the format. And then you just put your information in there and you put in, the specifics to your particular grievance. And I mean, that's, you guys, that cuts out a lot of the footwork. I'm sure trying to start from scratch would be way too hard, but sharing that information is such a jump ahead for anyone who wants to go through legal, the legal channels. So thank you, Brianna, for being willing to share that with people.
No, absolutely. Sharing is caring, and go team.
Yeah. So
this is all teamwork. We were on a national team, I feel like. So let's all work together. So thanks,
nice.
guys.
Someone just tuned in and they said those getting served are, reiterate for us, who is being served, who's named in the complaints officially in Washington State?
So the folks named in the complaints officially, actually is everyone, but we have names that are in bold type. So at the top of our document, you're going to see our Governor Jay Inslee's name, and then below him, we're going to list out the different heads of our government. So we've got our Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck, who's also the President of the Senate. Below his name, we do mention in brackets and all members of the Senate. Then next up, we have our House Speaker or Speaker of the House of Representatives here in Washington State, which is Lori Jenkins. But below her name, we also mention and all members of the House of Representatives. And beyond that, we reach out or we name our U.S. senators. We've got our U.S. Senator Patty Murray, and then our junior U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell. So all of them are named in bold type. Everyone in bold type, everyone whose name is actually on the documents, are the folks that we have been attempting to serve. So far, we have served, at least on video, our Governor Inslee, Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck, Lori Jenkins, the House Speaker, and Bob Ferguson, our Attorney General. The senators have been extremely difficult to get in touch with, but we do have a bit more of a communication with our junior Senator's office, Maria Cantwell. So we're going to see how that goes. They're just refusing service, but we're allowed to drop off the boxes. So we'll see about that. But yeah, and then today, the second batch of documents, we were able to very pain-free serve our Governor, Jay Inslee, Denny Heck, our Lieutenant Governor, and Bob Ferguson, our Attorney General today. Jenkins, as I mentioned before, she's being a real problem.
She's a pill. Well, I was going to say, Shine the Light over on YouTube wrote up the names for us, but something else that you obviously can do is tweet your government official. You can contact your senators via email, phone, letter writing. All of that counts. All of it does something. It says, hey, we're not going to be silent any longer if you feel like you want your voice to be heard.
Yep, absolutely. And we've had many calls to action. If you follow us on Facebook, we're putting out calls to action all the time. We're actually going to put out a call to action with an email template for the folks of Washington State. After today, it'll either be up tomorrow or this weekend, but the call to action is going to be, now it is your turn, Washingtonians, to get in touch with your district reps, especially if they're a conservative rep, or call all of them. We'll have an email for them, but they are technically named on these documents.
Okay.
So it's your turn to get in touch with them, call them, email them, and say, hey, what do you think about those documents? If you haven't seen them, go get yourself one and take a gander, because we want to hear from you on where your stance is on what we're talking to you about on those documents.
Sure.
And we would like your support, and it's time for you to stand up. So this really is a team effort. It's a Washington State team effort, because we're doing this all for you guys, and we're going to need your help. They need to hear from you. They need to know that, come on down to Olympia or call the AG's office. They've got all the documents in there. Tell them to send over copies to you so that the reps can see them and get back to you with their answer to your email or your phone call.
Very
on
nice.
how they
Have
feel
them
about
be
it.
accountable too. Well, Brianna, thank you so much for so today, just to recap it all, you were able to deliver all your documents just as they promised?
Yes. Yeah,
Very nice.
Today went really great. I think anyone who on my team was like, that was so much better today. So well done.
Good job. Good job. I mean, I'm sure that you were anticipating not such a nice reception after what happened last time, but your documents have been delivered.
I wasn't sure.
And they
I
signed?
did get a lot of phone calls. So
did they sign for them and give you an official receipt of, well, yeah,
yep.
that's
and
crazy.
We will, all of our, that's the one thing we're going to be very transparent. We're just waiting for that website platform. That's going to be the easiest place to put up all of our documents, put up all of our emails between, the AG's office and us. We want everyone to see it. We want, you guys, the world, even to be involved in this process with us. Nothing is hidden. This is for everyone.
Sure.
And so, yeah, we'll have all of the serving documents that were signed today. We'll have those up just to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah.
No secrets here.
And there they are. I'm showing them on the screen again. That is a lot of documents, man. That's a lot going on there. All right, Brianna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. And sorry about the technical difficulties. I know Jason with Bard's Eye News, he's going to cut and paste and do his magic on the video that he has been taking today and recording, and then get that over to you guys at CJTV, and we'll all take a look together.
I mean, I can't wait to see you guys all shoved in that elevator together.
Yeah.
So that'll be good fun.
That was a tight elevator. They did not have big elevators in the Capitol building, so
well, you're doing
we
good.
all got very close for a moment.
You're doing good work, Brianna. Thank you again for keeping us in the loop and for being a good example of just getting involved. And, whatever your political thinkings are, whatever your political leanings are, it's our job as Americans to not take for granted the fact that we have the freedom to raise our voices for our beliefs. And that's a freedom that we have to fight, that every American should fight for, because without that, we don't have democracy. So exercise your voices, people. All right, Brianna, I'm going to let you go and I'll let you get back to it. I'm going to share a couple of videos here with them. And again, we'll post from Bard's Eye Media or Bard's Eye News the clips from inside the building where we didn't have any service. So we appreciate Jason and his willingness to share that with us.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to end that. Man, I'm really close on the screen right here. It's bizarre. I'm going to pull up here. What she's talking about is, go back, I'll do a quick little recap here. The Washington State Tea Room and other organizations like them, including the Freedom Convoy, the People's Convoy, the California State Coalition to End Mandates, they're all across the United States. They're all calling for the end of the state of emergency and additional protections put in place so that it can't be reinstituted. Brianna said that right now there's an opportunity to get lulled into a false sense of security because we are, a lot of us are not having to wear masks anymore. I was looking over here at some of the comments I asked how many kids are forced to wear masks still. And Brooke Dean says that she refused to make anyone tell my kids to wear masks. You pulled yours. So that's a pretty big step to pull your kids out and do homeschool. This is a charter school. So my kids, Massachusetts apparently, yeah, my kids don't have to wear masks any longer. But what is so interesting is that my 6th grader entered junior high or ended elementary school with mask mandates. And she continuously she has her mask with her all the time, like all the time. And I asked her, I'm like, why are you bringing your mask? We don't have to wear them anymore. And she said she just feels more comfortable having it because she would get in trouble all the time for pulling her mask down or not having it. Or if we walked into a building and she didn't have her mask, it caused her so much anxiety. Like we were in Disneyland or Disney World as a family, and we would pull our masks down. It was last spring, like this month last year. And we would pull our masks down really quick to take photos, and it freaked her out. She was like, Mom, we're going to get in trouble. They're going to kick us out. It was like such a big deal. And it just hit me the other day when I was talking to someone at the People's Convoy that it really does affect their psyche. Like it's like a security blanket almost, because without the mask, you get in trouble. So she's been conditioned to know that if you don't take your mask with you, if you don't have it, you can get in trouble at school, at the grocery store, at Disney World. And she's been conditioned to think that. So right now, she doesn't have to wear masks at school. She carries hers with her. And from what Brianna is saying, there's a good chance that the government, local government and national government has been saying to expect a resurgence back in September. So maybe she gets to finish off 6th grade without wearing a mask, but maybe when she starts 7th grade, it's going to be mandated again. But even if it's not, like, it makes me sad that she's afraid that if she doesn't have her mask with her at all times, that she's afraid of getting in trouble if she doesn't have a mask at the ready. And I'm not kidding. She has this ratty yellow mask and she carries it with her all the time because, she doesn't want to get in trouble. So I'm going to pull up a little video clip here for you. California. So this is just one in particular, and I'm only sharing this because it hit home for me. And again, I don't want to pick a side. I'm just showing my like what affected me personally. So I'm going to share this with you, a little bit of it anyway. This is put out by a group in California. It's called We the People Coalition, and they're demanding. This was put out a couple months ago, and they're demanding their government to end mandates. So let me pull this in here real quick. All right. That's too loud.
Beginning today in California, we will engage in massive non-compliance. We will behave in righteous civil disobedience. We will no longer comply. We no longer consent to continuing the state of emergency any longer. Today is the dawn of a new day in California. Welcome back to the California Republic.
Did you know that the last time a high school senior had a normal school year was when they were a freshman? For a 3rd grader, it was when they were kindergartners. And for 2nd graders, that means they've never known what it's like to have a normal school year because they've been masked up this entire time.
We, the people of California, are here to declare that the state of emergency is over.
We are free people. Our children are free people. And we will no longer allow the hypocritical elites to rule over us like a dictatorship. Take your freedom back.
This is a free country, and we tend to keep it that way. Look, the charade is over. If you're still putting a mask on your children, please stop. You must stop living in fear.
The state has decided that all students and staff will have to wear masks during the upcoming school year. It will not matter if they've been vaccinated or not.
The controversy surrounds Governor Gavin Newsom, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti, and San Francisco Mayor London Breed. All three were seen at pictures at the big game, not wearing masks, even though they were required.
There is no emergency. Our representatives are enjoying sports games while our children's smiles are still covered. Let them breathe.
I want to remind you that you are a sovereign being. Your very birthright, your existence is freedom.
Sorry,
we refuse to comply.
Sorry about that, guys. Let me pull it back up again. And I want to make it clear, I'm not advertising for this group or advocating everything they're saying. I just want to give you an idea of the psyche of different groups in the United States. So we're going to pull that one up again. And for me, that particularly hit home because I did realize how conditioned my kids are personally, that they will get in trouble if they are not wearing their masks. And in every aspect of their lives, they carry them with them all the time, particularly my youngest child. Let's pull that up again.
Even a day longer. And to the parents of our precious children, I say to you, unmask your kids. It's time. Let them breathe. We do not co-parent with the government. This ends when we say it ends, and that time is now.
We live in the land of the free.
So I don't know. Did you guys hear what he said? I thought that was a very powerful statement to say that we don't co-parent with the government, which was, that kind of hit me hard. I was like, I co-parent with my husband and we make decisions for our family and our home. I don't know. I'll let you finish watching it, but it got me thinking anyway.
The power abuse held over us is only impactful as long as we allow it. And it's time to say no more. It's time to move forward together.
No masks, no mandates. Let's unite for the children and for the future. Let's get our freedom back.
The right to breathe freely is an inalienable right. The government does not have a right to restrict your breathing, to tell you when you're allowed to go outside, or to coerce you to be injected with chemicals that have permanent injury or death as a possible side effect. Reclaim your sovereignty, stop complying, and be free.
It's time to be free. It's time to remember who we are. We're Californians.
Today's the day. It's over. Together we rise and take back what is ours.
We, the free people of America, have decided the state of emergency is over.
And I believe as a youth, we can come together, stand strong, stand firm, and come out of it stronger than before.
We, the people of California, have declared an end to this emergency.
The state of emergency is over.
698 days of a unilaterally held state of emergency ends today.
We, the people of California, have enacted our irrevocable rights to personal sovereignty. Be free, my friends. Be free.
I'm just going to go through this really quick.
Stop the mask mandates.
The emergency is over.
End the state of emergency and end this madness.
Inalienable rights are just that. Inalienable. They cannot be surrendered. They cannot be taken. And then they cannot be given. So therefore, we're just free. Free to live, free to breathe. No more rules for thee and not me. Stop surrendering our rights. Stop complying and just be.
All right, I'm going to leave that there. So this is what we're finding across the United States is different campaigns like this to end the state of emergency. And I mean, I think it goes beyond, if you talk to anybody, it goes far beyond the mask mandates. I mean, that's the most visible part of it. The overreaching message is that the government is too involved in our rights and in limiting what we have the rights to do. I have a bunch of my family lives in Washington State, and I have a particular girlfriend there who's very politically involved, and she was keeping me updated on how out of control it got. Like, they had phone numbers and campaigns to like tattle on your neighbors, to when they put the mandates in effect to not have gatherings of more than like 10 people, there were actual commercials put on asking people to report your neighbors, your friends, anyone having a gathering of more than 10 people, to report businesses that were not complying. To ask they would ask kids at school questions about, what they did for their birthday. It was just a really bizarre, it seemed like it was out of, I was like, there's no way that's real. Like, that sounds like something in a book, something in a movie. But when I looked into it, it sure was true. It was really, yeah, it was kind of crazy that it went that far. And that's what people are fighting against, is having those civil liberties kind of pushed upon. I saw a comment over here I wanted to look at. Oh, Judy Griffith here says that her grandkids are the same way. They carry their masks in their backpack and have never given it a second thought. Yeah, I remember the first time. Do you guys remember the first time that you went to the store and people were masked up? Like, my husband and I went to Walmart back when the pandemic was first starting. And I remember we were in the parking lot and people were lined up to go in the store. I remember we had to have like the spacers and everyone was wearing masks. And I was like, it feels like we're living in another country or something. It just did not feel, I don't know. It was such a bizarre feeling. And now I went to Arizona last year around this time, and you didn't have to wear masks inside. And the whole time I felt like I was getting away with something, like I was, breaking the rules. Like, I felt like I was going to get in trouble all of a sudden. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, people aren't wearing masks. That's crazy. But do you guys remember the first time you went out and people were in masks? And it was just like emerging. We all were quarantined, and then we all kind of emerged into the new reality that, I don't know, it was interesting to see how readily we all accepted that. It made sense at the time, obviously. I personally thought it made sense that we do what we can to stop, to flatten the curve. But we're like 2 years later, and that's just the new normal, which is, I never expected that. My husband predicted it. He was like, I think that this is going to be the new normal. And I was like, you've lost your mind. People are not going to wear masks this long. It sucks. It's awful. So here we are. He was right. I'm going to pull up one more little thing here. Oh, yeah. So I'm reading in some of the comments here. Judy Griffith says, it is like the Twilight Zone. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to pull up one more little thing here. If you guys remember, the national state of emergency was supposed to end in February. And instead, it was, let's add this. It was supposed to end in February, but Biden extended the national state of emergency. It said indefinitely, but really he has it extended for 1 more year. The Senate voted to end the state of emergency. Biden overruled that, and now it goes to the House, and the House has to get these bangs, man. I don't know what's happening today, but the House has to now get a 2/3 majority in order to overrule the executive power to maintain the state of emergency. The thing is, while the state of emergency is going on, the president can veto that. So, president institutes state of emergency. To institute the state of emergency, he has to give kind of a dissertation on which powers he wants to use and why. He has to justify it. So obviously, when Trump enacted it, 2 years ago, it was justifiable by all of these conditions. All these different conditions were met. So the executive office was given, I think, access to like 152 different powers that he wouldn't normally have. Fast forward 2 years, and the mandate was supposed to end, or the state of emergency was supposed to end, but the president decided to continue the state of emergency, keeping all of those different powers within his possession. Some of the things is like to control commerce. I don't know if you guys remember, but back when COVID started, they were able to commandeer, like they were able to stop trade and commerce coming in and out of the ports, stop travel. But the president also has the opportunity to commandeer private businesses and utilize them for whatever we need. I remember there were different manufacturing companies that halted production of their their products and started making medical supplies like tubing and needles and things like that to help with the effort. And if they had chosen not to do that, it was within presidential power to like commandeer them and tell them that that they would have to do that. That's the level of power that the executive office gets when a state of emergency is declared. So the state of emergency has been in effect. The executive office has like an unparalleled amount of power in that state. And the Senate voted, I'll pull this up actually. Senate just voted recently to end the state of emergency. However, during a state of emergency, the president can override the Senate's vote. So let me pull that up for you so you can hear it again. It's just, I mean, the more I learn about the government systems, it just is so backwards. I can see why people have to work so hard to make a difference and what an uphill battle it is, because it's not really designed to make sense. I don't know. Let's look at this.
West Senate has voted on a resolution ending the federal COVID state of emergency. That passed on a vote of 48 to 47. The national state of emergency was first signed in March of 2020. It was set to expire on Tuesday, but in February, President Biden extended the emergency indefinitely. Senator Mike Braun of Indiana spoke on the Senate floor about that today. He voted in favor of the resolution ending the emergency. He says COVID is here to stay and Americans need to adapt to live with it and get on with their lives.
So do you guys think, what are your thoughts on that? That's what several of the senators have been saying, that if several of the senators that voted, and it was a majority vote to end the state of emergency at a federal level, are saying that COVID is not going anywhere. So at what point do we say this is an emergency or this is just life? And we need to figure out how to manage life like that. Cindy Riker says she believes it'll be for years to come. Every time the infection takes off, it's coming again. That's what they're predicting. But, you know, I think it's the same thing with any cyclical virus like the flu, or, you know, they all kind of come around again. Jeff Taylor says, so as the flu, haven't got a shot since I remember, haven't needed one, haven't gotten the flu. So, you know, it's personal choice. Let me pull this up.
This state of emergency makes robust powers available to the president during a crisis.
So let me ask you guys, are we in a state of crisis right now? Because that's the point of enacting a state of emergency, is so the president has extra powers during a crisis.
Forgiving student loans, imposing travel restrictions, capital investments in neighborhoods deemed to be disproportionately affected by COVID. It's past time for the president and governors across the country to give up the extra powers granted to them under the COVID emergency declarations.
President Biden issued a statement about the resolution ending the national emergency. He says his administration.
Okay, so let's see what this says here. So his response to overturning the Senate's action to the Senate. What am I trying to say? The Senate's bill to overturn the state of emergency. These are the things that he cited. He cited that they need to more effectively be able to respond to the virus and facilitating the delivery of health care at a time when our health system has been under tremendous and prolonged stressors. He said that it's critical that they continue to respond to Omicron variant and be prepared to respond to future variants. He says actions by Congress to end these authorities abruptly and prematurely would be reckless and a costly mistake. So let's see what he says. He says that he wants to maintain the state of emergency so that their response remains nimble and that they remain at a top priority for the administration. He says, therefore, the administration strongly opposes Senate Joint Resolution 38, which would terminate the national state of emergency declared on March 13th, 2020. and unnecessarily and abruptly curtail the ability of the administration to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. So do you guys feel that ending the state of emergency would hurt the administration's ability to respond to the COVID-19
needs to be able to respond
pandemic? Pull that up.
Effectively if future variants pose a threat. He says if Congress passes the resolution, he'll veto it. And the U.S. Senate has voted.
There we go. Anyway, so I don't know. I guess that's what every American needs to ask themselves at this point is, are we in a critical state? Like the state of emergency is supposed to be enacted when we're in a critical state and when the executive office needs the ability to move swiftly without a checks and balance system. So, I mean, you can decide for yourselves, are we in that position right now? Or has the local government and the federal government pushed it past a reasonable place? And at this point, it's becoming an unconstitutional exert of power over the American people. So that's where that's where we're at in America, and we get to decide what we think about that and then what to do about it. And again, we talked today with Brianna from the Washington State Tea Room, who felt that constitutional rights were being violated by an excess of government power. And she decided to form an organization, and they partnered with other organizations around the nation and figured out how to go through legal channels to affect change. And that's what they were doing today in Washington State Capitol. They brought 60,000 signed affidavits from Washington State residents to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the attorney general, stating that they wanted an end to Washington State of emergency. And then a second affidavit they delivered said that they wanted an independent election evaluation. So there's legal channels, there's people doing convoys, there are people emailing, texting, tweeting their government officials, there are people doing sit-ins and demonstrations. Whatever it is, just, be active. Whatever your belief is, whatever your political agenda or motivation, just don't ever forget to exercise your right to speak up. Like that is inalienable. It's your given right as an American. So don't waste it. Just don't waste it, whatever it is. And I think that's all I have for you. I'm going to look at Jeff Taylor said here. Power, like I said earlier, the moment the majority realizes we do not need such a nanny state, we're in some, and since 2016, that's not the comment I was looking at. Anyway, CJ is going to continue providing coverage. I think I'm going to go out to the convoy in the next couple of days to provide coverage of what's going on out there again. He's currently in California, working his day job. So thank you so much for the contributions. The stars, all of that stuff, it really does help. Byron, thank you. You've been such an amazing supporter. And I'll say again, without independent media, democracy falls. I'm going to say that again. Without independent media, democracy falls. What we're trying to do here and other live streamers and other independent media sources, we're just trying to give you an opportunity to have access to unfiltered information without an agenda, without I'm not trying to make you feel or do something in a particular way. What I'm trying to encourage you to do is to be active in whatever you believe in, whatever you want to do. And providing independent media coverage of events across the nation gives you the opportunity to choose for yourself what you believe, what you don't believe, and what you want to do with that information. So we're going to continue trying to bring you as much media we can do, as much independent media as we can do, but the contributions are definitely important because it does take time and money. I'm going to put the banner up there to fly to and fro. CJ I'm doing our taxes for CJ TV right now, and the amount of money he spent in travel is crazy. Airplane tickets left and right, car rental, hotel stays, it just adds up so quickly. And by having supporters, it it makes him able to forward plan stories that he's wanted to cover so many stories across the nation, but it costs money to do that. And so we're not, right now, CJTV has, for the last several years, CJTV has been a labor of love for everyone involved. Thank you to our mods. There's no financial compensation for them. There's nothing but gratitude and the knowledge that they're helping to support democracy in the form of independent media. And so we're so grateful to them and everything that they do. They're so patient with us. But yeah, any contributions really do help. And if it's not our stream that you want to contribute to, find a live streamer, find an independent media source that you feel is a good fit, and support them as best you can, because democracy falls when you don't have freedom of press. When independent media falls, democracy falls. So do whatever part you can to keep that moving along. Yeah, I don't know. There's comments going on, but they went too fast. I can't really tell what they're saying. The other thing I'm going to say is that we have been in a shadow ban for about, I want to say 3-4 weeks, something like that. So people are not getting notifications when we go live. Our algorithm is way down. Like and share, like and share, like and share. Share it to groups that you're in. Share it to whatever you can. It's so frustrating because censorship is just rampant. We can't seem to, like, if we start reporting on something that the powers that be want censored, our platform plummets, and it's so frustrating. CJ spent a ton of time out with the convoy, and left and right people were like, I didn't get notifications. And we were looking at it and going, why is our viewership so off? And when we did more investigating, it's something that no one talks about. There's no way to resolve it. It's when you're shadow banned, you just disappear. The internet makes you disappear. Jeff Taylor said, your live streaming at DC on January 6th last year was and is critical, absolutely critical in future understanding of current events. Jeff, that means the world to me. Thank you. Thank you. Because it was, CJ has been really across the United States during some of the most noteworthy things of 2020, 2021. And I've had the opportunity to be a part of a handful of those things too. And I'm just going to say really quick, January 6th, being there personally, and then seeing how, even the day of, to see how media was responding on both sides of it. There was one point where a friend of mine sent me a link to my footage, like we're actually live streaming in the moment. And she sent me a link and I pull it up on my other phone, and it was my footage, like I'm pointing the camera, and it was an international news channel over talking. No, it was the local news. It was some mainstream media group sharing our footage, but putting their own commentary over the top of it. So at the same moment, I'm pointing it and saying, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing. I don't know if I would call this a riot. I don't know what you choose, you decide what this is, you define this. And I'm showing the my surroundings at the exact same time that footage was being broadcast, and it was being called, like, they were putting terms on it like riot, insurrection, all of these other terms, and like they determined what it was rather than showing you what was happening and letting you determine what it was. And then after the fact, it's been a year since then, a year plus, seeing how people have changed the narrative and moved things around. It's been the most eye-opening experience for me, because I was there, I saw, I felt, I heard, I know what I experienced. And I've talked to so many people that talk at me and tell me what it was. And I always kind of wonder, should I say, actually, I know that that's what you've heard, but talk to someone who's been there, because it felt that I don't know that people are portraying, I'm saying this terribly, but after a big event, if you don't have independent media or like a live stream or someone who can give you an eyewitness account, you don't know what to believe. You don't know how it went down. So when we look back over the events in Kenosha, for example, CJ was there. He brought you the footage right up in your face. You got to see it and experience it with him. So you can't be tricked into believing someone else's narrative. January 6th, if you followed along with us, you were right there. You saw everything that happened. You can form your own opinion on what happened that day. So thank you for that comment, Jeff, because I agree with you. The live stream media coverage is absolutely vital. All right, I've talked too long to everybody, so I'm sure you're done listening to me, but thank you for joining us. Continue supporting independent media of any kind, and have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm terrible at ending these things. Okay, just a sec. Thank you.